Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in to my podcast and watching my YouTube. My name is Ampika Pickston.
And I'm Diane Swain.
And we're here to talk this week about 12 steps of how to value yourself. Yep, it's that good old self-love, self-praise and self-worth. Very easy words to say, but how do we actually implement valuing ourselves? What do you do each day to value yourself? Is there ever a time in the day where you value yourself? Or do you just accept your existence? Well, this is more about accepting your existence. This is actually taking a long, hard look in the mirror and stripping yourself back and loving yourself from head to toe. And if you're not doing that right now, we're going to show you little tips and ways how to make sure that you are giving yourself the love, self-respect and self-worth that you deserve. Fire away, Diane.
Yes, Ampika's absolutely right. We've got 12 steps for you, as we usually go with the number 12, on how to value yourself. So we're looking forward to going through those. It's great for you to join us. And I think Ampika's going to start off with, we found a lovely Buddha quote about loving yourself, really. So we thought that would be a great way to kick off the 12 steps.
I can't really take the praise because actually Diane found this beautiful passage and it's written from Buddha, so I'm going to read it out to you. It says, "You can search throughout the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of your love and affection than you are yourself. And that person is not to be found anywhere. You, yourself, as much as anybody in the universe, deserve your love and your affection." And that is so true. That is so, so true. I've spent a long time looking for that person would fix me, that person would make me feel loved, that person would make me feel sexy. And all of those things, I am the only person who is capable of doing that. So let's go with step 1, Diane.
Okay. By the way, I've read that loads of times and it still gives me butterflies every time you read that passage. Aww. It's so lovely and so true. Okay, so step 1 is not to compare yourself with other people. We all do it from time to time, but when we are learning to value ourselves, the key is not to compare ourselves to others. There will always be people in it that we perceive to be greater than ourselves, just as there might be people that we perceive to be less than what we do or are or live in our lives. But the truth is we've got to focus on ourselves, and comparing ourselves, particularly on social media and Instagram, etc., those sorts of things, it's a big no-no, isn't it, for learning to love ourselves and to value ourselves. Because if we continually live out the lives through looking at other people, we're never actually focusing on ourselves and the value that we actually bring to the world. It's a bit like living our life through a lens, in a sense, and we need to take that lens off and just don't compare ourselves to anybody else and just really home in the qualities that we've got within ourselves, which is some of the things we're going to talk about later on to help you recognise, obviously, what qualities you've got and dig deep, list them out, think about them, ask other people what qualities that they actually see in you, and list those down as well and keep those with you. But try not to compare yourself to other people because it serves no purpose at all.
Yeah, I would very much agree with that. Step 2 is embracing your mistakes and learning from them. We all find in life that it's very easy to pass the buck onto someone else. It's very easy to find a reason why I can point my finger and say, this has happened, that's happened, it's all your fault. And just remember, every time you point a finger, there are 3 or 4 fingers pointing back at yourself. So sometimes you have to embrace the fact that you might have made a mistake, embrace the fact it was there for a reason because it's called the journey of life, accepting that mistake and making sure that you do not make it again, and forgive yourself. We all make mistakes, we're human, but ultimately once you've made a mistake and you've realised there's a big pothole in front of you, you use your initiative and you walk around the pothole. You don't keep walking deep into it.
Yeah, and how empowering taking responsibility is, because it means you are master of your own destiny, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm always saying to the children, take responsibility, be accountable for what you do, because then you're moulding your own life. You're not sort of taking the cop-out route of blaming somebody else. You might think it is somebody else's fault actually, but if you take ownership and responsibility for your own destiny, your own life, and the mistakes that you may have made, then you can move forward with that.
Yeah.
And it's hugely empowering.
And I think also in the blame culture, whilst you're blaming someone else, you're holding and harbouring onto anger, and anger is no good for anybody.
It's so destructive, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
It's
is
like
very
a ball and
destructive.
chain around your ankle, and you cannot move in any direction because you're consumed and filled with anger. And it's just a very, very unattractive trait to have. I find when I've met people that are very angry, I'm like, whoa, I'd want to take a swerve ball. I just don't want that in my life at all.
And also, it's like in last week's episode, we talked about forgiveness, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's like if you have made a mistake, just as it's good to forgive other people, you need to forgive yourself as well. So in taking accountability for something that you might have done that you were less than happy with, forgive yourself. It's okay, isn't it? You've got to be kind to yourself and don't hang on to that. Just let it go, forgive yourself, and then move on reflection, knowing what you've learned, and then obviously put that into practice in the future. It's a valuable lesson then, isn't it?
Very, very much so. So step number 3 is taking opportunities to develop yourself. I'm a big one for this. This is like my indulgence. This is like my cream cakes. This is like my strawberry and cream. I love self-help books. I love at night time to snuggle up, get my favourite bedtime clothes on after a nice warm bath and read and just find those aha moments, because working on yourself, having a better understanding of yourself, everything else in your life blossoms. And people are like, nah, I don't really believe it. But once you get to that point where you're working on yourself and you understand yourself better, you make better career choices, you make better decisions, you have better relationships with your children, your relationship becomes a lot better, your relationship with your friends, because you understand yourself because you've worked on yourself. It's like anything, isn't it? If you work on a car and you look after that car is going to serve you well. It's going to take you from A to B perfectly clear. If you neglect that car, if you never wash it, you never bother to check the oil on it, the water, you don't MOT it, sooner or later it's going to stop you from getting where you need to be. So you are that car, you are your own vehicle. Nurture it, understand it, realise and understand how it works. If there's a problem, you can go to it, you can fix it and repair it. If you never take any time to analyse it and look at it and just take it for granted, sooner or later the engine's going to blow, and that's when big problems occur.
Yeah, I think I agree with all of that, yeah. And I love that analogy. And in developing yourself and growing and learning, I think that goal setting's really important. And you only need to start with tiny goals and build them up from there. I know I see people that sometimes haven't got the energy or motivation, or they're so depressed they can't even make their own bed in the morning or brush the hair or clean the teeth, and that sounds quite extreme, but a goal to some people might be that they get up and tidy the room and make the bed.
Yeah.
And that's okay, that's absolutely fine. It's what is within your comfort zone and where you are in your self-development. If you've gone through a breakup or you've been ill or something, or bereaved, something as small as that can set you on the road to your new life, your new development. And it's so that you don't overwhelm yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
With huge, massive things, thinking, some people can go from making a bed, that can be something for them. Somebody else, it might be starting their own business or getting to the gym or, starting that diet or more healthy living. There's all sorts of different things. But I think if you set a goal, you write them down, then you are probably 100% more likely to actually see them through and achieve them.
And just to highlight, just diversifying somewhat just from that point, like Diane said, if you are depressed to the point where you're struggling to make your own bed, and this has been for a long period, you may be clinically depressed. So please reach out and go and speak to your doctor, because there is certain medications that are beyond the realms of what we're talking about that can help you. I was watching an Oprah Winfrey, sorry to digress somewhat, and she's just done the 2020 Vision Tour. And Lady Gaga openly spoke about, using the right medications to make her be able to function day to day, because all of these simple tasks that we think are simple seem like impossible. And I never ever would take away the fact that if someone is feeling clinically depressed and they do need help with the right medications that are given to you by your doctor, please don't be ashamed. Get the right medication, and please look after your well-being the best you possibly can, because sometimes it's easy to sit here and say these things, but if you need some internal help in the form of a prescribed drug, there is no shame in that whatsoever. If you get the right medication to help you, there's no reasons why these tips won't even really make your life feel a lot more enhanced or flourish, honestly. So.
Yeah, I think actually just on that, Ampika, as well, there's definitely a place for medication, of which a GP can prescribe or a psychiatrist can prescribe. And I think in my experience, you know, there are some clients where a combination of that is really useful, but always only accept medication through your GP or through a psychiatrist, because that's what they're trained to do. Mm-hmm. And then with a combination of counselling, so somebody might take medication for say 2, 3, 4 months, but whilst they're getting counselling, talking therapy, they're able actually to accept that. And then as time goes on, you can actually let go of the medication, and it's more sustainable to keep on with a counsellor, talking therapy, whatever suitable for you. That may go on for a period of time, but that medication, as you said, has actually enabled you to get to the point where you feel enough strength, really, because it just takes strength to see.
To do this,
absolutely, that's it. Yeah, so that's a really, really good point you've made.